Hey everybody, I get asked quite a lot what kind of items people should stockpile for the next few phases and how I personally make money. Now, I was asked to do a tutorial on rogue farming and I did go to Dire Maul East just to kind of show it off and test it out. There might be a video coming on that, but honestly, I'm not really convinced of it. It's decent. You can make about 40 to 60 gold per hour. But the issue with those farms is that they're very static, and nowadays in WoW, with all the bots and everything, the main issue is that we have, more currency coming into the system 24/7 because bots don't sleep. There's a lot of boosting going on as well, and people are buying a lot of gold with the, real life currency that they are amassing. I'm not gonna say if that's, good or bad. Obviously, I have my opinion about buying gold, but it's just a matter of fact that nowadays people are getting older, people are earning more money, they have more responsibilities, and they're probably not feeling like spending a lot of time grinding for a virtual currency, especially when it's, truth be told, more efficient to just earn money and buy gold from that money. Because definitely most people, at least, not everybody, and I don't want to throw you guys under the bus there, but like people living in, let's say Europe or the Western Hemisphere, for most of those people, it's going to be more efficient, just get a job, I guess, and, buy gold, which is why we're seeing the prices of everything exploding the way that it has. I mean, let's just look at, for example, Edge Masters. They're at 1,380 gold. Last week they were at 1,000 gold, which is, by the way, when I bought mine. And I'm glad I did, because they went up 400 gold in just a week, And that's something that you can't really keep pace with doing Dire Maul East, because you're gonna need more hours of Dire Maul East further. The more this goes on, the more hours of Dire Maul East you're gonna have to grind. So best thing that you could and should do on a fresh server is to play as much as you can early on if you don't want to buy gold, and invest the gold that you make. Maybe not even get an epic mount, right? Because if you think about it, the 1,000 gold of the epic mount are static. The first 2 weeks of playing 1,000 gold are worth a lot more than they're now, because I can get 1,000 gold more easily, both in terms of if I was buying gold or in terms of farming. Because let's look at this, for example. Eye of Shadow, right? So the time that it takes farm an Eye of Shadow is, on average, if you do it an unlimited amount of times, gonna be the same. It's gonna be 2% drop chance on Headerin initiates, which means that with every Headerin initiate you have a 2% chance of getting an Eye of Shadow, right? Now, when I got my first Eye of Shadows, they were worth 250 gold, and it's taking the same amount of time to actually farm these Eye of Shadows on average, regardless of how much worth they are. But it's also taking the same amount of time to get out 50 gold from Dire Maul East. So, for example, if I look at Fellcloth, which is one of the main things that I'm finding in Dire Maul East, I'll tell you right, actually. Let's look at Fellcloth, right? It's 179, and it's pretty static, because there are ways to get this by botting. You can get Fellcloth by botting in Azshara, for example, or in Felwood, for example, or I don't know, wherever else Fellcloth drops off the satyrs, right? So this is why this thing, just like golden pearls, I mean, these things should be worth, you can see here, like, the last time I checked, they were worth 12 gold. Now you have all these people botting Azshara on so many different layers. That's why the price of these things is absolutely worthless. Whereas before, on private servers, when I used to play, they were worth a lot of gold. And you could farm them and sell them because there weren't that many bots, right? So lesson 1, or takeaway 1 from this video, is that no matter what you do, I would recommend going for items that cannot be botted, such as Eye of Shadows, or even the recipes that I showcase in one of my other videos. So what you want to do is you want to go after items that are dropping off elites that can't really be botted, because those ones are going to have a real value to them, because they cannot just be printed, right? And the next thing that you should do, which I was getting at before, is early on in a server's lifespan, you should really think about your investments. Now, let's look at Elemental Earth for that matter. Let's use the add-on actually to take a look at it. It's a bit better. So Elemental Earth is at 2 gold 77 right now. And when I started buying Elemental Earth a month and a half ago, it was at 70 silver. Or let's say my rule was to not buy Elemental Earth over 70 silver, right? But now it's 2 gold 77. Why is that? Because eventually AQ is going to come up and people are going to need greater nature protection potions for AQ. You also need Elemental Earth for the Elemental Sharpening Stones. And I bought them before Molten Core was even a thing. So, and people were leveling and already farming that. Now I will argue that 70 silver, you know, I mean, I would say there's like a break point. 70 silver 2 months ago was worth more than now, as I've mentioned before, because there's like way more gold around. So I didn't really make 2 gold, 7 silver on every one of these, because you would rather have had 70 silver now than like 2 gold 77, 70 silver then than 2 gold 77 now in a way, because you would have maybe needed your epic mount, for example, etc. So obviously, like, there is a decrease in value of currency itself, so you can't say it's like a flat like 2 gold that I made, because the inflation is also going up and I need way more gold, right? But it's still way smarter to actually invest your in assets in WoW and make sure that you have your money kind of working for you, right? So after this like kind of baseline introduction as to why it's important and what you should go for, it's twofold. You should go for things that are necessary for people to have, and if you recognize in my inventory just now, I have like, let's say, I don't know, it's at 100 or 80 greater frost protection potions. I bought those for 1 gold 10 tops, not too long ago actually. I just started stockpiling them 2 weeks ago, and the 1 gold 10, and you can see the last time I checked they were already 1 gold 93, and that's not because people actually need them right now. There's no one is going to need greater frost protection potions at this point in the server's lifespan, right? But look, they're already up to 3 gold 19. Why is that? That's because of inflation. That's because there is so much more gold around that even Edgemasters goes up by, like I said, like 300 gold in the last week. So if you have gold lying around, then should probably invest that in items, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm investing in right now. So as you can already see, greater frost protection potions. Just by inflation, they already went up like 250% or something. I'm bad with maths, obviously, as you can probably tell. But they went up a lot, and nothing happened. Like, there is no demand for them. So you can see that the reason they went up is just because of inflation. There is no Saffron yet, there is no Next Ramas yet. You're not gonna need them yet, but they're still going up already. So I would recommend you stock up on those. Now, this is a very long-term investment. This is way past IQ. We're talking about Next Ramas here. So if you want a little bit of a more short-term investment, I'm not going to say I guarantee, but I am 90% sure that Elemental Earth will reach at least 4 gold value. So even if you start investing now, you're not going to have the great return on investment that, you know, I'm having, but as you say in economics, the best time to invest was yesterday, and the next best time to invest is right now. So I'm 100% certain that this is just the price. 2 gold 77 silver is just the price that they're paying for elemental sharpening stones. And some people, it's also reflected, of course, the speculation that I'm doing in that price. But I would wager that it's going up at least 4 gold when AQ comes around. Perhaps even more. Same story with why I bought Edgemasters. Just because, well, I mean, I do have a warrior, but also because if I don't decide to use them on my warrior, I could probably sell them for at least 2,000 gold in a month or two from now. Now, obviously with this speculation, especially, you could argue that there is a lot more people boosting Mara right now than there ever was before, and since Edgemasters are on the Maraudon loot table, it's possible that you won't see the price explode as much as it's usual for Edgemasters to go up, because the main thing with Edgemasters is that they're just outside that range of like mobs and dungeons that people farm regularly. But with there only being one server, that means boosting will never go out of style, and that means people are going to continually boost Mara, which also means there's going to be a continual supply of Edgemasters. The question is just how greedy people are, and if they will actually sort of undermine each other in selling Edge Masters, or if they're gonna try and fix the price a little bit. I see people posting Edge Masters for 3,000 gold just to can't talk today. Just to inflate the price artificially, and there's a lot of people sitting on Edge Masters, and we'll see if that's gonna pay off, right? But even if it doesn't for me, I got my Edge Masters for 1,000 gold, which is already 400 below their current price, so it's a win for me. Now, you just have to look at these like big ticket items and think what you want to invest in. I would not recommend using Eye of Shadow, for example, as an investment, because quite a lot of people farm it, both solo and in groups. But I would recommend you to go out there, set your sights on an item that cannot be botted. Let's say the Tyr's Hand Enchanting recipe. Let's say the Crusader recipe, but I don't really recommend that because it's a bit farm. Or Eye of Shadow, yeah, which I used. I farmed like 4 Eye of Shadows. That's where I got most of my gold from. That's why I have Edge Masters right now. And just really try and look ahead, right? For example, right now, Dark Runes aren't that necessary, but they're already going up in the content. So Dark Runes is maybe also a good idea to stockpile. I would say a bit risky, but also possible in my experience. Large Brilliant Shards, once the Dukes come around in Silithus for the AQ opening, and afterwards, these ones are going to be used to summon the Dukes, and you're going to need a whole bunch of them. So it's also a possibility that Large Brilliant Shards are going to go up. But I would just look at like what's coming up next in the content and what people are going to need. And I would stockpile in that. You can see I have like a small amount of Fate Leaf and Grave Moss because you need that for Shadow Oil. And Shadow Oil is actually crazy expensive right now as well. So if I sold all of that right now, Shadow Oil, by the way, is not really what we're going for. We're going for the Greater Shadow Protection Potions, and you need Shadow Oil for that, just as an example. So that's why I bought a bunch of them. That one hasn't paid off yet. It was more of a... I mean, it was really cheap when I bought it, so it was a little bit of a risk that I took just to see what would happen, I guess. And I can't say that the Grave Moss Fate Leaf thingy is super paying off right now. If I made Shadow Oil on my Alchemist and sold that, I could make a great profit just from how the auction house is looking. But I'm not convinced that Shadow Oil is actually selling at 6 gold 50, so I'm just holding on to it. But yeah, the point of this is buy Elemental Earth. Look at what's coming up next. It's going to be a queue. People are going to want, obviously, always Elemental Sharpening Stones. People are going to want some Nature Protection Potions. And you know what else people are going to want eventually? Here's 0.5. That's why you can see here. I'm not sure which what all the mats are, but I think that's most of the mats that I need, or that people need. Or here's 0.5 is, for example, a Flask of Supreme Power. The Goblin Rocket Fuel, that's going to go up like crazy. And Cured Rugged Hide, obviously always expensive. But yeah, I mean, if you have gold right now, then just buy stuff that you know people are going to need and that you know you are going to need down the line. The game's already figured out. The game has been released so many times by now, and if you want to stay ahead of the curve money-wise, you just have to think ahead as well. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind, you know? Like, can't keep up with people farming gold and boosting by running around Dire Maul on your rogue and picking herbs and killing lone satyrs for Felcloth. Like, that's not gonna work. You need to find a way to make your money work for you so you can rest easy and actually not have to farm all the time and farm progressively more as gold becomes less and less worth because there's more of it around, right? Another example before I leave you here, like if I had known Librum of Constitution, I bought those, and it's in hindsight, it's such an obvious thing, you know? I bought one of these when it was 30 gold. Now it's 190 gold. Why is that? Because people hit rank 9 or whatever it is to have to, and rank 10 obviously, where you get the PvP legs and you get the PvP head. And as soon as that happened, as soon as the first wave of people was able to get legs and also now head, that's when this went up by so much. And if you had just thought ahead a little bit and been like, wow, they're just 40G now, how is that possible? well, people don't really need it yet, but once the PvP stuff comes out and people are gonna want to have 100 HP on legs and head enchanted, that's when this will go up, right? Like, it's a very simple thing which everybody could have thought of, but didn't. The same for Blue Sapphire. I remember at the beginning when nobody was actually having the Lionheart helmet recipe. That's when you could buy those for 7 gold. 7 gold. Look at how much worth they are now. And I'm not saying that this will happen again. I think the Blue Sapphire shock is big enough that on every fresh WoW release, people are going to be wary of selling these under their value. Probably same for the Librams of Constitution. But then again, sometimes people need quick money, and if I get a Libram of Constitution week 1 and I really want an epic mount, maybe I'm selling it for gold here down from now on the next fresh release. I might. But in any case, just figure out what can't be bought, grind that, generate currency, and then find a way to make that currency work for you in a way that you think is going to be feasible. So first off, you find things that can't be bought but people need, that are really annoying to farm. You dedicate your time to farming those, because as inflation goes up, the value of the time invested is still the same. So you get more gold, at least, from the amount of effort you put in, right? And with that currency, you find stuff that people are going to need every day, like elemental earth for sharpening stones, like cross protection potions, even, I mean, look, elemental fire, yeah, it's also gone up by 1 gold in just weeks now. So I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know how far the inflation is gonna go, because I've never played on a server that big, with that many layers, that many boosters, and such a thriving real money trading economy. But I think it's gonna go crazy up to a point, probably up to the point where people kind of quit playing and the hype dies down. Maybe it's gonna go down then in terms of gold, as less people are gonna be pumping gold into the economy. But at this point, it's looking like there's no stopping. So if you have gold, just use it to acquire something, you know. And if you don't have gold, watch my other videos, figure out how to farm those enchanting recipes, and go from there. That's also, if you don't want to farm something, you know, just play the game. Like, just go for your pre-raid biz, just do dungeons with your friends or whatever. Like, you make pretty decent gold, especially in this economy, just running dungeons. Because I think a lot of people are lazy, and there's a lot of drops that you can get in dungeons, which are worth quite a lot. So just from playing the game, you can always get lucky. And yeah, another thing also that I noticed is Runecloth. If you were smart enough, like, this was up to 2 gold something a stack the week that rank 11 mounts released, right? So you just have to kind of look at what's going to happen next, stay in touch, and figure out how to kind of use your gold to your advantage and not have it sit on your bank character. Honestly, like, those 1.5k gold that I'm having right now, they're kind of bothering me. Like, I want to get rid of them and actually acquire something that is going to make me more money down the line. And I mean, that's probably true for real life as well, right? So it's quite interesting how WoW economy works. If you were tapped into certain channels, certain avenues of gaining information, and you were able to acquire that information before someone else, then you could also make a move in terms of investing and probably profiting from that. It's just about information. And especially with WoW Classic, it's very easy because the game is static and you already know what's going to happen next. So that's your best bet for making money. It's just thinking ahead and being ahead of the curve. Because let me tell you, once tier 0.5 hits, even though it's very preventable, 90% of people are going to start buying stuff when they need it and not before. And that's when prices are going to skyrocket. So the smart thing for me to do, for example, with the 1,500 gold, would be buying more tier 0.5 quest lines. I have one finished in terms of mats, like everything that you can buy for it I already bought. But I have two 60 characters, so I actually need at least 2 of these. And probably more if I want to make a profit of them, right? So just look up the mats for the tier 0.5 questline already and buy them now, especially if you know that your class is going to benefit off it, like rogues for example. But even if not, just buy a whole set and sell it later for a profit, you know? Just try to think ahead, and I would also recommend, ironically, looking back in time on what people were doing 6 years ago when Classic Fresh released. Not everything is going to work the same, but yeah, just look for those patterns, look for how people made money back then and how you can make money in game now. That's all there is from me for today. Quite a bit of a yapping session, but I think there's a lot of valuable information out there for people. Certainly there is. And I will also do some more farming videos in the future. It's just that, truth be told, I'm not feeling WoW right now. I don't feel like grinding 6 hours. But I do have footage for Tyr's Hand. I want to look at how good or bad Tyr's Hand actually is. And if you listened to today's video, then you will realize that it really depends on the prices on your server. Since it's also a farm about an enchanting recipe. But yeah, anyway, thank you for listening. There's not much to watch this time around. And I hope that you learned something, and I hope that I'll see you on my Twitch. The link is in the description.